What does it take to finish a doctorate when you're not just a student, but you're also a full-time working professional, a parent, a partner, and you are the emotional anchor for everyone around you? For so many first generation and non traditional scholars, the doctoral journey isn't just about research and writing. It also has a lot to do with managing competing responsibilities, navigating feelings of the imposter phenomenon, figuring out how to keep going and how to keep it together when it feels like there's little margin for error. You really can't mess up, can you? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome back, everyone, to the Grad School Femtoring Podcast. This is your host, Doctora Yvette, and this episode is actually one of my client spotlight episodes. It's part of a series where I share one or two of these episodes per quarter to highlight the real experiences of my clients who have navigated graduate education in intentional and values-aligned ways. Today, I'm honored to spotlight Doctora Jeanette Villanueva Padilla. Doctora Jeanette brings over 26 years of experience in educational leadership focused on access and student success. She is currently the Senior Budget Manager for MBA Programs at the USC Marshall School of Business, where she oversees multi-million-dollar budgets. She is a first-generation college graduate from Southern California, earned her bachelor's degree from UCLA, and completed both her master's and doctorate at USC. Her doctoral research examined neurodivergent students' perspectives on AI and motivation in higher education. She is also a wife and a mother of two. In this conversation, Doctora Jeanette reflects on what it's like to pursue and complete a doctorate as a non-traditional first-generation scholarly mama while working full-time and raising a family. We talk about the emotional weight of returning to school later in life, the pressure to get it right, the systems and mindset shifts that help her go from feeling overwhelmed to feeling more grounded and confident. In this episode, you're going to hear specifically what it was that helped her get unstuck. She also talks about how time, energy, and boundary setting became essential to her success. We talk about why celebrating progress and staying connected to your why makes finishing possible. This is an affirming conversation, and it really reminds me of what sustainable success can look like when you set yourself up with the right kind of support and structure. Here is my conversation with Doctora Jeanette Villanueva Padilla. Welcome to the award-winning Grad School Femtoring Podcast, the place for first-gen BIPOCs to listen in on inclusive grad school stories and learn about personal development and productivity tips. This is Doctora Yvette Martinez-Vu, a certified coach, consultant, and author, and I will be serving as your femtor, providing you with insider knowledge to help you reach your personal and professional goals. All right, so to get us started with our special client spotlight today, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and share a little bit more about where you were in your doctoral and professional journey when we first started working together, and even what inspired you to begin working with grad school femtoring.
Thank you, Dr. Yvette Martinez-Vu. I'm excited to be here. I'm Dr. Jeanette Villanueva Padilla from Southern California. And I remember starting this journey back in 2020 when I started my master's program. And towards the end of the program, which is in 2022, I came across your podcast and then your Insta page, which I really enjoyed. And I felt really comfortable with your messages and your contents. In fact, that also made me think, should I continue with a doctorate? You would be the person. So along that time, I graduated in May 2022. I got my acceptance for the doctorate in July, I believe. And I started in August 2022 working with you. It was something I knew I was in it in the long haul and I wanted to be successful and I needed the right tools and the guidance. And you just seemed like the perfect fit for me. I loved the way you communicated with people. I loved your insight and I felt comfortable and safe, if anything, to seek your guidance and support, which obviously it was a success. And I am so glad I went with my gut feeling because you really, really helped me along the journey on so many levels, in which I appreciate you.
It's such a full circle moment to have you here sitting down, sharing a little bit more about where you started, because a lot of folks are in that same journey right now where they are where you were in 2020 and later in 2022. I'm curious, again, continuing to think about where you were when we started working together. What was it that you were hoping to gain through working in this capacity with someone through coaching and consulting?
Well, I had a lot of ideas. I had a lot of interests. I had fears. I had fear of the unknown, but I was ready just to pursue it and just capture it. I didn't want it to hold me back and be a limiting factor. And when I came to you, I remember looking back and it made me laugh to think where I was back then. My perspective on things on this journey was a kaleidoscope. So much going on, so many ideas, so many fears, excitement, you name it, it was there. And when I brought it to you in a safe space, I just said, here I am. This is what I think. This is what I want to do. And you just helped me ground myself and just lay it all there and just organize it. Not only academically, professionally, and also emotionally in a sense as well, because I'm a mom. That's my role, my 24/7 job. I'm a wife. And I was also a student, in it for the long haul kind of student. And I really wanted to be successful and I was open to what I needed to do. You were the coach. You were going to tell me what I needed to do and how to get there. And I followed your steps and it's been amazing.
Are there specific challenges? Because I know you shared one of the things you said is that your life felt like a kaleidoscope. And that's so true for a lot of us. Like we're navigating so many things, we're living in dangerous times. At any given moment, we all have so many hats that we play. And I remember that was true for you, and it continues to be true for you. And I know you also said that it was helpful to have a space where you could feel more grounded, where you could get organized, where you could strategize together and come up with solutions to whatever problems or obstacles were coming up for you. I guess I'm curious, what were some of those challenges that came up throughout your doctoral journey that we worked on together?
It's the approach, how to start. It was exciting to see what was ahead, but I did not know how to start, where to start, what was the right way to start. I came to you with questions and concerns and guidance, and you helped me make sense of prioritizing deadlines, timelines, just how to start, continue, and keep it consistent and make it part of a practice that worked for me. You gave great suggestions, and you would often say, whatever works for you. But these are some areas how you could approach it. These are some areas how you could sustain it. These are some areas that you could expand on. So, if anything, that was really, really helpful. And you were helping me help myself.
That's actually something that comes up a lot, not just for doctoral student. I feel like it's very common for first gen students in general. So whether you are first gen in college, in grad school, or even a first gen professional, sometimes we don't know how to get started because we don't know what the end goal looks like. We're told, okay, do this one thing. What is the one thing? Maybe it's a course paper, or maybe it's write a literature review, or maybe it's work on your qualifying exams, or maybe it's a prospectus or proposal. But we've never done it before as first gens. Of
Correct.
course, professors, committee members, advisors, they've been doing this for a while. So for them, they don't even blink, they don't even think twice. And some of them assume that you know what they know. And so it can be really hard to get started when you're doing something for the first time. And I just wanted to mention that and echo that because I suspect a lot of the listeners are going to resonate with that feeling. And it can help to have someone who has been in those shoes and also has a big picture view of what's coming next so that you can have these suggestions of how to get started that are tailored to your circumstances, but also always remembering we're not all the same. What maybe worked for me may not work for you. That's why it's great to offer suggestions and always say, these are options. You get to decide because you're always the one in charge.
Also, coming back to school after 15 plus years for me, it was intimidating. It was exciting and intimidating at the same time. I wasn't the same person I was as an undergrad back in the day, being that small percentage in the classroom. Fast forward, if I could conquer parenthood, I could conquer a master's or a doctorate. That's how I saw it for a second. But then there were some snippets of imposter syndrome that kicked in. And I'm thinking, I shouldn't feel this way, but I did. And when I would come to you with my concerns or my ideas or my frustrations, you were just always really kind and calming, just to reassure me I am where I need to be. And I was going to be fine. And whatever I did bring up, even if I approached it differently or had a different insight from the average student who was different age, younger, different profession, I felt my voice or my perspective brought some value. And you helped me realize that after several discussions on different topics on studying, time management, self care, the latest and the greatest on research, different approaches, different styles. You really helped me just put my mind at ease and my confidence and just take a breath and look from within. And that really, really just changed everything from what's the latest back in the day. What are some tools for literature review or how to approach the latest technology in the classroom or how to use it as a researcher. And I was always excited to meet up with you because you were literally the coach I needed to get me where I needed to be. And you were definitely always on my team.
I love to hear that. I've only done a couple of these, but I plan to do more client spotlights. And I ask folks to share a testimonial or any words that they're comfortable with me sharing so that other folks can get a sense of what it's like to work with me. I haven't done a lot of like video testimonials or podcast episodes like this. And so it's one thing to read something, and it's another thing to hear it with your own voice. I just feel it. And I'm so grateful that you're sitting with me here today. And one of the things that I wanted to go back to that you mentioned is this circumstance of going back to school when you are non-traditional, when you may be older or more experienced in many ways, you have lived life. I have worked with non-traditional students for a while. In fact, I started working with non-traditional students back when I was a grad student, and I worked as a grad mentor. And I remember working with folks who were twice my age and noticing this common experience of there's a stronger sense of urgency. There's higher stakes because you're like, no, I can't mess around. I'm of a certain age. I cannot waste my
Mhm.
time. I'm not going to try to take longer than everybody else. I am not going to try to mess up. I have so much more invested in this. You might have families, you might have multiple responsibilities, you might be a caregiver. And so there's higher stakes, there's more urgency. But then sometimes, I know you mentioned the imposter syndrome. The way that I see that it manifests is in this feeling of, oh, it's been a long time since I went to school. Can I still read and write and learn the same way that I did when I was younger? Our bodies are changing, our circumstances have
Mhm.
changed. There's always that fear. And one of the things that I love to remind folks who come into school later on is that there's so much that you bring to the table. You have so much lived experience. You have so much wisdom. You wouldn't be in your program. You wouldn't have been accepted if you couldn't cut it. Yes, it might look differently. Yes, you might need extra support. Yes, you might need some extra tools, but you're just as capable, if not more, than everybody else in your program. I just wanted to say that and
Thank you.
recognize that because I
Thank
know
you.
that it's a common circumstance, common phenomenon of feeling I have so much investment in this. I'm so committed in this, and I really don't want to fail.
Thank you. And one of the things, I guess, what really helped, I had all those feelings. And every time I would speak with you, I would share a lecture, a discussion, my insight. You would bring things up saying, hey, did you notice this? Even though you're hired, there's K through 12 people. And I'm like, oh, wow. So I started having more of a broader, open perspective of my experience in the class. And also when I would do my own research or my discussions and my interactions with my classmates or my peers, it started to shift. I was starting to own it and be proud of it. I think you could see it or feel it when you're with people and the way they look at you. I remember my master's, I was the oldest one. Everybody was 35 and under, and I was the only one who was over 45. So I was like the oldest, the auntie, the mom, I would feel it. But I would also push back. I do know a thing or two at the end of the day. It may not come across this way because the latest and greatest said of how people were communicating, how people were taking notes. It was just a different world for me. I mean, I went to school in the 90s. So if anything, the concept, the knowledge, whatever it is, the context of whatever we're learning, I got it and more. And that's when I started to think, I think I may be onto something that it's in me. And when professors brought that out to me, said, hey, Jeanette, you seem the EDD type, the post PhD EDD. They were like, I've been a professor for 40 years. You seem that type. I see you being successful, which I still didn't see. So when I applied for the program, I'm like, well, if I do this, I'm not sure, but I'm going to need a coach. Any right person who's going to go for like the gold, like an Olympian, you're going to need a coach. I remember coming across your info and I'm like, she's pretty good. She would be the perfect coach. When I got accepted, you were the first person. Okay, so what did I have to do? Financially, make adjustments. If I could put that same time and energy and commitment and sacrifice for my kids for baseball, soccer, whatever it is, I think I need to do this for myself and invest in the coaching. And my husband was fully supportive of this. It really, really made a difference. This was all worth it to me. People say you afford what you want to afford. And this was an investment in me and getting me through this program in a successful manner because I saw folks along the line on my journey, on their doctoral journey, struggling, stressing. I gave the best suggestions I could, but it was different, right? I mean, mine was custom to me because you knew me. When I would try to help others, I did the surface of what I could, and I just referred them over to you and check out your Instagram and check out your podcast. There's your website. If anything, it helped me also help other people in areas I didn't know I was able to help, and people listened. And that was something that I've gotten over the years, just saying, you know what? In fact, it just made me feel stronger each and every semester. As difficult and challenging as they may have been, I just felt stronger and stronger to complete what I needed to complete, accomplish, participate. It's a big difference.
One of the things that you just said that stood out to me is that in having access and support through working with a coach, it helped you help other people. And I want to recognize that because I am also someone who has benefited from coaching. I have been on the other side of things. And it reminds me, recently I got a sponsor who paid for one full spot of my group coaching program to offer a scholarship to a grad student. And this person has worked with me. And I asked, well, is it that prompted you to want to sponsor another student? And one of the things, I don't have the quote with me here, but one of the things I remember that this person said is that they know what it's like to need a scholarship and how life-changing a small scholarship can be, and how once you help one person, you help entire families. And I love that this person said that because it reminds me of how you served that auntie or tia role. And of course, with boundaries, I reminded you to make sure you
Yes.
made time for yourself,
Right.
but it allowed you to be able to help others.
That's right. I remember we spoke about that because in our culture, it's like you're all in. You have to stop and take a step back and self care and to say, can you really spread yourself that thin? That's also another thing. The boundaries, not only in the classroom, but professionally as well. I didn't realize that also made me think of my role as a professional. I have been pretty successful up to this year. This year is going to be my 26th year in higher education. And I think it's just accumulation of everything that you have given me to achieve these things. If we look back in 2022, where I would be now, I wouldn't have imagined. But look where we're at now. And it's pretty amazing and exciting at the same time.
Well, first off, I can't not congratulate you for all of your wins from finishing your doctoral program to 26 years in higher ed. That's 26 years of your life that you have committed to an institution, the community building you have formed on your campus, the pivots you have made, the service work you have offered, the leadership role you're transitioning into. These are all huge milestones. And then I also want to go back to how you mentioned the boundary piece of it, because one of the ways that I view serving others and finding the balance between serving others and making sure that you're okay yourself is I think about self-care and community care as a pendulum. And so if
Yes.
you go too far one way in the community care and helping others, you might deplete yourself. But if you focus too much on yourself, you might lose sight of your greater community and what you're all
Yes.
about. So I always think we got to find a way so that we're not too far one side or the other. And I think that's where the boundaries came in for you because you are such a giver. You are a parent. You've done so much service work. You worked full time while completing your doctoral program. You give, 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 give. And I know that in our time together, I've had to make sure that you take care of yourself. Just gentle reminders around whether it's doing less or resting more or taking a pause, you name it.
Mhm.
That's what that reminds me of. If you've ever wished you had a trusted group of peers to move through grad school or career challenges with, this is for you. The Grad Empowerment Coaching Circle is my newest group coaching offer, created for small, self-organized pods of graduate students or professionals who want structured support, accountability, and community as they work toward personal and professional goals. This experience is designed especially for first-gen, BIPOC, neurodivergent, and non-traditional folks navigating big transitions, burnout, or uncertainty. Together, we focus on sustainable productivity, executive functioning skills, and creating systems that work for your life and values, not against them. If you and a few peers are looking for a space to grow, reflect, and take action on your goals with guidance and tools to support you along the way, this circle might be exactly what you need. You can learn more at gradschoolfemtrain.com/coaching or reach out directly to me to explore if this is the right fit for you and your group. I'm actually curious, what were some of the things that maybe you did throughout our time together? Maybe it was practices, maybe it was tools, maybe it was a mindset shift that helped you to keep going and keep making progress throughout your program.
One of the things I remember you always mentioning was, how are you doing? Where are you at? How do you feel? What are you doing for yourself? And nobody ever asked me that here at my home. I mean, my husband, my kids, my boss, everybody's like, you got this done. What do we need? Everything was just always like a check in for other things. You, how are you doing? How are you feeling? The other person aside would be my chair, she was a professor now and chair for my dissertation. Her background was educational psychology. So she knows the other side of things, education, how we feel as a student, and she is a mom. So I felt she connected with me and saw me. And some of the tools that you shared with me, hey, Jeanette, why don't you try this? If you're working on something, go for a walk or put it down, shut everything off. Maybe listen to some music, maybe a podcast, something not so cognitive heavy, but just to reground and focus. And because of that, I was able to pursue the things you suggest. Hey, do something for yourself. What did I do? I joined a women's group in ceremony, breath work, sound bath. Talk about really reaching down deep in areas that you don't think about, or maybe it's too woo woo for some people, but it worked for me. And I think it just brought a little strength in me to deal with things in a way I did not expect and has been really helpful to this day. I still practice it. if anything, listen to my body, listen to where I was at, especially during the crunch times of the lit review piece. There were stressful moments. And I remember there was just moments that I was just like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this?
There's so many things that I want to say about that, but I'm glad that you recognize now the importance of not forgetting yourself and checking in with yourself, not just with everything that you have to do for everyone else around you. I would like to hear more about what you feel was most impactful, or what were some of the biggest shifts that you noticed that were a product of our time together, and how it has impacted how you see yourself now as a scholar and as a leader.
Well, most importantly for me was time management because I had so many things to juggle. So many things. I look back and I'm like, how did I do that? Close friends, family, they were like, how are you doing this? And I'm like, I don't know. If anything, you taught me how to be more mindful with my time and energy. You helped me organize my kaleidoscope life into sections. That really, really helped me. And at the same time, it's okay to be a mom in mom time or wife time or family time or friends time or sister time. You help me just clean it up in smooth transitions into other things and being more, like I said, mindful of my time and energy wherever I needed to be for the day of the week, for the day of the month, and really hang in there and be confident with my purpose of what I was learning, how I was applying myself in the classroom, but also professionally. That really, really helped me just lay it all out, organize, but just be mindful of everything. And there was moments when I was frustrated, stressed out, tired, but also celebrate the wins, if anything, just allow myself also a chunk of time to celebrate. You did finish that lit review and not lose my focus and lose my why, because that was another stressful period when I was questioning not so much my ability to complete it, but what my focus was going to be on in my research. That it was going to be, I had to be in it to win it for the long haul. And I wanted it to be purposeful. And you really helped me just talk it out, different scenarios. What was I going to do at the end with it? Why was I going to do it? This dissertation journey, I wanted to do something with it, especially being in higher ed. I saw how these letters were going to open a lot of doors and opportunities. And that's what I really wanted, to have a voice for the students. I mean, I see the students as my kids, and I wanted to represent that, highlight that. And by you helping me just kind of stick to the why to get to that was really, really helpful. And I'm just really grateful.
Thank you for sharing that. One of the first things you said was you mentioned time management. And I know that that's something that comes up a lot in my coaching sessions. And it might start with surface level, like I need help with my time management. But then as we dig in, it becomes so multi-layered. It becomes about energy management. It becomes about looking at your capacity. It becomes about recognizing the different areas of your life
Sure.
and which
Right.
ones are important based on the season that you're in. You also mentioned the term being mindful and mindfulness. And I think about that as like having a moment in the coaching space to be witnessed and then to be in the present. And
Yes.
it allows you to be more intentional. So instead of going from this to this to this without thinking about it, you got to slow down, look
Yes.
back, and be more intentional about how you spend your time and energy. And I
Mm.
also love that you mentioned the importance of celebrating yourself, the importance of not losing sight of your why, because to me, that's tied to the work of recognizing your values, recognizing your mission, recognizing your priorities, the things that are greater than you that you believe in. And sometimes we lose sight of that. It's so easy to lose sight of that in the rush of everything that we have going on, or in the struggle to try to get through multiple milestones. It's a good reminder that we all deserve to have a space to slow down and to go back to, wait, hold up. Why did I even do this to begin with? And is that why still important? And if it's not, what needs to change to make sure I can feel aligned with my greater purpose.
Right. And also give myself some credit on some things because a lot of things I overlook, like, okay, well, I got that done. Here we go. But it is a big deal only because it was hard. I downplay a lot of my achievements, I guess, being too humble. It was interesting because I didn't think it was a big deal or teach the world. God, again, we all have our journey. And I was always raised to, I don't want to humble brag. Or I'm not that kind of person. But I needed to celebrate myself. I needed to remind myself of my wins, and I appreciated that with you when you would bring it up and want to talk about it, and I was like, "Okay, anyway, I did that part, but my time management." So anyway, but you were just like, "No, you did it, acknowledge it, own it," and I was like, "Okay." And then again, I would see my classmates, my cohort, and I do my Dr. Martinez blue hat on, and I would just guide them and say comments, and I'm like, "Gosh, I sound like Dr. Eva." But they needed to hear that, and I saw how it kinda helped them change their mindset. So I was able to somewhat mentor the younger students, but also helping them help themselves with tools in areas that they needed to grasp because they too they were, students of color, all of us, imposter syndrome, second guessing our choices of why they were here, why they were there. And it was something that I wanted to pay it forward and just be there for them. Like I had you, I wanted to be there for them. Those were some of the things that I really grasped during our journey together. I was able to pay it forward.
I love that you mentioned that you felt a sense of humility and maybe you weren't taught or raised or socialized in a way to share your wins or celebrate them because it feels like bragging or maybe it just feels uncomfortable.
Right, right.
But one of the things that I believe is that as we celebrate our wins, it's one way to sustain motivation for ourselves because it's like, yay, I did a good job. And it helps to energize you so that you can keep going. While at the same time, if you share it publicly, you are modeling possibilities for others because someone else might see themselves in you and think, oh, if she did it, maybe I can do it too. And then as you pass on the baton and you model that for others and you start to encourage others to do that for themselves, then you're paying it forward. Then you're helping others celebrate too. It's just, again, going back to this idea of the ripple effect. The more that you celebrate yourself and you celebrate others, the more we are supporting one another.
Right.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because I do think that's important. We are getting close to wrapping up our time, so I would love to hear from you. Now that you're on the other side of things, now that you are a doctora and you're transitioning into a new role and you've walked the walk, I'm curious, what advice do you have to share with others who are pursuing similar goals or who are in the thick of their doctoral journey right now?
Yes. I know. I think about that often. It felt like a hurricane or just a big old wave. And I look back and I'm like, wow, I got through that. If I could conquer being a professional parent and completing something that's so hard but so meaningful, it's totally doable. I just have to keep looking from within of my strength I did not know I had. I had to keep listening to professionals who care, like yourself, that really just held my hand and just kept me steady and pushing forward and staying strong and focused. It is doable. Have faith, have patience. For a moment, I wanted things to be quick, like, oh, I'm going to do this lit review in a week or two. No, be okay if it's going to take longer. Everybody's journey is different. Everybody's timing is different. And that was one thing I needed to also see. I had to be okay with that. And once I was okay with that, I was like, okay, here I go. This is what I need to do for me. If I see how they're struggling, I'll encourage them where they need to be encouraged or where they feel to have somebody like me come on their side and say, by the way, because I had to be very compassionate and respectful of others. I mean, there are some moments when I don't want people to look at me. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. Don't advise. No envy. The only person who advised would be you. I don't need anybody else. But yet, I appreciated the folks who were ahead of me, especially Latinas with doctorates. They're like, you know what, Jeanette, it's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. This is a snag. And I was looking at them like so far away, but I got through it. And then I look back at the other cohort, my classmates, and I see them in that struggle in that moment. where I have to also reassure them that it is fine. You are where you need to be, and you're going to learn and grow from this in ways you don't even imagine. And in my case, that's what happened. I've completed something that I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I was going to do it. I think this is a life-changing moment for me that I am moving forward in spaces now with confidence. It looks hard, it looks challenging, but I'm up for it because I know I could do it. I don't know how. I'll figure it out because I always do. But also with pride because I'm not only representing myself and my family, but the other Latino scholars and students of color in spaces where I look around and I am the only one. And that's no longer scary. It's, if anything, motivating to keep on going.
It has been such an honor and a privilege to witness your growth. I know that I didn't even get to hear about so many of the obstacles that came in your way, both personal and professional. But trust that Doctora Jeanette has gone through so much, and yet she's here on the other side. So please,
Thank
please,
you.
please take her words to heart. If someone wants to connect with you, is there a way that they can reach you?
Yes, I went ahead and shared my LinkedIn with you. And, feel free to share it with anybody who needs any kind of words of support, anything. I'm here. That's the type of person I will make time and support you in any way I can, answer questions, share thoughts, anything. A mindset, recalibration, self-care. I have it all. Recipes. I'm going back to cooking. My other hobbies pre-doctoral haven't cooked. Well, I've cooked, but not like with like passion and patience in 5 years. But I'm learning new things, catching up on movies, picking up hobbies. I used to enjoy long walks, hikes. I'm trying to get back into that. I'm trying to get back into a lot of things, but again, be more purposeful and mindful of what I need to do to make myself be strong mentally and physically.
Oh, we'll have to have a separate conversation to talk about those
Yes.
recipes. I love all of that you shared. So glad that you're in this space and that you've arrived at this point in time. And I know this is not the end, this is only the beginning for you. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much for sharing your words of wisdom today, sharing more about your experience working with grad school femtoring and about the beautiful relationship that we formed and will continue to have moving forward. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Dr. I appreciate you and I thank you for everything. And I know we'll have a beautiful, long lasting friendship as well, especially when you're in Southern California area. I'm your biggest fan. I'll go wherever you're at and give you a big ol' hug and catch up.
Thank you, thank you.
Sitting with this conversation again, what stands out most to me is Doctora Jeanette's clarity about something that many non traditional students feel but don't always say aloud, which is that finishing higher education is not just an academic achievement, it's also a commitment to yourself, a commitment to legacy building, and it's also about your family and your community. One of the most powerful themes in this episode is how sustainability made completing this degree possible. Doctora Jeanette didn't succeed by trying to do all the things. She really had to slow down and get clearer about how she spent her time, how to protect her energy, and how to honor the different roles in her life. She didn't need to rush. She had to understand her pace and be purposeful with it. She had to think about time management as also about her energy, her capacity, and the season that she was in. She also learned to celebrate progress and that celebrating is not about bragging, but it's actually how we sustain our motivation and confidence and how we model that for others. As you reflect on this episode, I hope you will also consider the following questions, which is that where in your academic or professional life are you asking yourself to push through instead of rethinking the type of support or structure that could help you not have to push through and still reach your goals? And what would it look like to acknowledge a win, even if it's a little win? It doesn't matter the size. What would it look like if you celebrated yourself more without having to immediately move on to the next thing and the next thing? Doctora Jeanette's experience reminds me that success doesn't have to require self-erasure, self-sacrifice, or losing yourself. It can happen when you are in alignment with the care and systems that you need to do the work well. That's it for today. And as always, I'll talk to you all next time. Thanks so much for listening. If you liked what you heard, here are 3 ways you can support the show. The first is to make sure you're subscribed and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. The second way is to get your copy of my free resource kit linked in my show notes. This kit includes tools, worksheets, and podcast playlists on all things grad school, productivity, and personal development. The third way to support my show is to follow me on social media. You can find me on Instagram with the handle @GradSchoolFemtoring and on LinkedIn by searching my name. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.